Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Plavensock, and this screencast video will introduce one of our active learning activities that I implement in one of my graduate level courses. And that course is Pharmacy 7562. It is Design and Management of Preclinical Studies. So the main topic of this video is going to be our leadership branching activities. I'm going to be demonstrating this in the student view of Canvas, which is our learning management system. Here we see the assignment page in which the students will access the activities. So they will click on the assignment prompt, and you'll note that each assignment prompt gives the students an overview, and it describes that over the course of the semester, the students will be presented with 5 different scenarios that they could realistically face during their careers in preclinical research. These activities are based on the Choose Your Adventure books of my childhood and perhaps your childhood, in which you select actions and then follow the storyline through to its conclusion. These scenarios are important for the students in our program in particular, as they are in a 100% online asynchronistic Masters of Science program. Thus, they do not do traditional laboratory research. So these scenarios give my students the opportunity to walk through scenarios and think through them in the learning environment of a classroom. We see here in the assignment prompt that the students are presented with the objectives and directions, the learning resources, which is the actual learning object, as well as our academic integrity statements. They're also provided with a complete rubric for the activity. So the student would open the assignment, they would open the learning object, and they would then launch that activity. It pops up in a second window for the students. And we can see here that this particular activity relates to a peer review grant application. The students are presented with the scenario, who they're playing and their role, and then it also gives them a little bit of information reminding them that this could occur in real life and that, as in real life, your choices and actions have consequences, and that in this scenario, that students are forced to follow through with those decisions. So they're not allowed to go back or restart the learning exercise at any point. When they have completed a pathway, they are directed to a discussion board within Carmen to reflect upon that experience. So the students click Start to begin the activity. They are presented with the scenario in this text box here, which basically lets the students know that they are not only a professor at a renowned university with a outstanding reputation, but then they also work for a joint venture with capital partners on their own company, which has indeed been successful. This person is also a very busy professor in that she's also a member of the National Institutes of Health Study section and a peer review group that evaluates the scientific merit of grant applications. So she comes across a proposal that contains information about a product that is similar to one of her companies. She realizes that this grant application has developed these ideas independently and in a novel manner, and it wasn't stealing any of her ideas. Now she has to decide what to do ethically with this grant application. So the students are then presented with their responses. They have 3 choices in this given scenario. They can proceed as a reviewer on the application. They can report the information back to their capital partners, perhaps a less ethical option, and then they can recuse themselves. So in this scenario, since I want it to extend a little bit for this demonstration, we will say that the student chooses that they proceed as a reviewer for the grant application. So they choose their response, and you can see that the scenario updates. And in this scenario, the student is then told that they stall the grant process. They must now decide how to address the similar scope done by their personal company. So again, you can see that they are presented with three choices. Um, they can claim impartiality, they can admit that they are concerned and insist that they're being fair, or they can admit that it's a potential competitor. So for this scenario, I'm going to say that the student admits that they are a potential competitor, just so that we can close out this scenario. So you can see that the ethics board at the NIH has decided to remove the student from a panel. And we can see that the student then has a button that prompts them to go to the reflection board. The student clicks that button, they leave the learning object and are placed onto a discussion board. Within that discussion board, they are reminded of the context. They are also reminded of the scenario. They have a scenario map that is provided for them so that they can remember the pathway that they chose and then see the choices presented for the other pathways. This allows them to actively learn how different choices could have pushed them through the scenario. For the reflection experience, the students are asked to answer a series of questions and post a response for the activity. It says here to complete this activity that the students must reflect, and then they actually respond to classmates or to me as the instructor. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of what we consider to be a very relevant active learning activity for students within an online program.